So, welcome back students. Today we are going to discuss the chapter science that is chemistry of class 10, that is chapter number 1, that is chemical equation and reaction. Chemical reactions and the equation. So in your previous online class we were studying about the how to balance the chemical equations. So I am making this video regarding that topic only. We will start from how to balance the chemical equations. So let us have a look on that now. So let us begin our class. So first of all, we were discussing in our class how to balance the chemical equation. So for balancing a chemical equation, what we have to do? So first of all, let us learn what is balancing the chemical equation. Balancing a chemical equation. Balancing a chemical equation. So how do we balance and why it is required? Why it is required to balance a chemical equation? So first of all, let us talk about the requirement of the balancing a chemical equation. So chemical equation must be balanced while writing it because in order to satisfy the law of conservation of mass. You have studied this in your 9th standard that the total mass of the reactants that participate in a chemical reaction should be equal to total mass of the products that is formed in a reaction. So total mass of the reactant should be equal to total mass of the product. So to make the total mass of reactants equal to total mass of the product, we need to balance that particular chemical equation. So now we will study how to balance it. So let us take some examples, and first let me tell you how we can balance and what does it mean. So balancing a chemical equation means the total number of atoms of each element on the left hand side of a chemical reaction should be equal to total number of atoms of each and every element on the right hand side of the chemical reaction. So that means the total number of atoms of each element, in left hand side LHS should be equal to total number of atoms of each element on the right hand side of each element on right hand side of chemical equation. This is what we call the balancing of chemical equation. So balancing, what we have to check basically. Suppose there are two or more than two reactants. Okay, they are combining. They are reactants which combine together. Okay, in a chemical equation. Now what we will get when these combine, we will get the products. So we will get one or more products. So during the reaction, so on the left hand side, you know that reactants are written on the left hand side. So these are the reactants. Okay, they will combine with each other, and we will get the products. Okay. So this is the representation of a chemical reaction. Reactants will combine and will create the formation of products, and there is an arrow in between them which separates the reactants and the products. So this is the left hand side of the reaction, and this is the right hand side of the reaction. So what I told you, the total number of atoms of each element, the total number of atoms on the left hand side should be equal to the total number of atoms of every element on the right hand side also. For example, let us take an example. Suppose we have water, a simple, okay, you know how the water is formed. Hydrogen plus oxygen will combine with each other and will form water. Okay, H2O. Now what we have done, now we have to check how many atoms of hydrogen are there, how many atoms of oxygen are there, and on the of atoms should be there on the right hand side also. Means if there are suppose hydrogen atoms, how many? 2, and 2 atoms oxygen is also here on the left hand side. That means if this equation is to be balanced, if the equation has to be balanced, that means the total number of atoms of hydrogen on the left hand side, if it is 2, then on the right hand side it should also be 2. Okay, and if on the left hand side total number of atoms of oxygen is 2, then on the right hand side it must also be 2. That means the equation is balanced. But now this equation is not balanced, you can see, because hydrogen number of atoms are 2, here also right hand side 2. Okay, it is balanced. But here oxygen number of atoms of oxygen is 2, but here the number of atoms of oxygen is only 1. Okay, but that's why the equation is not balanced. Now how we will be balanced? We have to just use the stoichiometric coefficient. Stoichiometric coefficient means, as you have studied in your math, the line, this is the equation 4x square plus 5x minus 5. Okay, so you know what is the coefficient of x square? That is 4. What is the coefficient of x? That is 5, and this is constant term. In the same way, these 4, 5 are called the coefficients. So like this only, we have to put some coefficients, okay, before the elements where it is required. Okay, so and we will just balance the equation. We have to just think a number so that each and every atom can be balanced. Okay, we have to just think a number and we have to just use, okay, in the form of coefficients. How? But we have to remember that one thing, while using these stoichiometric coefficients, we have to remember the formula of the compound or the element should not change. The formula of the compound or element should not change. Like suppose there are 2 atoms of hydrogen, here also there are 2 atoms of hydrogen. Now what you have to do? There are 2 atoms of oxygen, but here is only 1 atom of oxygen. So I have to balance this oxygen. I have to make the 2 atoms of oxygen. So for that, what we have to do? I cannot use 2 here. Okay, I cannot use 2 here because it will not be a water then. The formula of water will change, and it cannot be said that this is now water, but this is another compound. This is hydrogen peroxide. So we have to remember that while using the stoichiometric coefficient, we don't need to change the formula of the substance. The formula should remain same. So then where I have to put the 2? I have to put the stoichiometric coefficient here. Okay, the 2 will be put here in front of hydrogen. That means this 2 is for this one also, hydrogen also, and this 2 is for oxygen also. Now you can see oxygen 2, oxygen atoms are balanced, oxygen here also 2 and here also 2. But by doing so, the hydrogen will be 2 to the 4. Okay, hydrogen, we have to multiply these 2 numbers. Okay, so 2 to the 4, hydrogen will be 4, but here only the hydrogen is 2. So what we have to do to make this 4, I will have to use one more coefficient, that is 2 here. Now 2 to the 4, hydrogen 4, 2 to the 4, hydrogen 4, balanced. Now here oxygen is 2 and here also oxygen is 2. Okay, so now this is a balanced chemical equation. This is a balanced chemical equation. So like this only you have to balance all these equations. And why it is necessary? I told you to satisfy law of conservation of mass. To satisfy the law of conservation of mass, we need to balance the chemical equation. Law of conservation of mass. To satisfy the law of conservation of mass, we need to balance the chemical equation. We need to balance the chemical equation. Let us take one more example. Okay, I will take one more example regarding balancing of a chemical equation. Let us take second example. Suppose this is PbNO3. PbNO3, that is lead nitrate. PbNO3 whole twice. Okay, what is it called? Lead nitrate. PbNO3 whole twice. Okay, it is just heated, and after heating, suppose we get some products. Okay, the products are PbO plus nitrogen dioxide plus oxygen. Okay, we have to check whether this equation is balanced or not, and if it is not balanced, then we have to balance this equation. Okay, this is another example. So we have to first check whether it is balanced or not, and after checking whether if it is unbalanced, if it is not balanced, then we have to balance this chemical equation. So let us look first. So here you can see the lead. How many atoms are there? 1. Here also there is 1 atom. Okay, no problem. Here the nitrogen is how many? Nitrogen is here. This 2 is for this one also, and this 2 is for this oxygen also. So number of atoms of oxygen, what will be? 3 2 is 6. Oxygen will be 3 2 is 6. We have to multiply this. Okay, these numbers. 3 2 is 6. Oxygen 6. Nitrogen 2, and this 2 is for nitrogen also. So oxygen 6, nitrogen 2, and this 2 is not for lead, because this 2 is only for these elements which are inside the bracket. So here lead is 1, here also right hand side will lead 1. Here the nitrogen is 2, but here the nitrogen is only 1, so not balanced. Here the oxygen, total number of atoms oxygen, that is 3 to the 6, and here it is 2 plus 2, 4 plus 1, 4 plus 1, 5. Here only 5 atoms, and here there is 6. So nitrogen and oxygen are not balanced. Nitrogen and oxygen are not balanced. We have to balance this. Okay, this is unbalanced chemical equation. So how to balance this? What we have to do? We have to just think of a number. Okay, it may be a fraction also. It may be a whole number also. Okay, positive number. We have to think of a number in the form of coefficient. Okay, and we have to put that number in front of any compound or any element. Okay, where it is required. Okay, now what we have, this method is known as hit and trial method. Okay, we have to just think, hit, and that we have to use. Okay, we have to use it. Yani think and trial method. Okay, hit and trial method. Hit and trial method. So you can see here the nitrogen is 2 and here is nitrogen only 1. So what we have to do to make this 2, we cannot use here, because this 2 will change the formula of nitrogen dioxide. So this 2 has to be used here. This 2 will be used here. Okay. Now the formula is same, nitrogen dioxide, and 2 is here. You can see now nitrogen is 2. Okay, and this 2 is also for this one also, oxygen. Now oxygen is 2 to the 4. Okay, oxygen becomes 4, nitrogen is 2. Nitrogen here also 2. Nitrogen is balanced. Now we have to balance oxygen. You can see oxygen is how much here? 3 to the 6, and here 2 to the 4, 4 plus 2 6, and plus 1 7. Now here the oxygen is more, 7 atoms, and here only 6 atoms. Now lead is already balanced, nitrogen is already balanced, but oxygen is not balanced. What we have to do? Just you have to use, put here 2. We can use here 2. What will happen if we use stoichiometric coefficient 2 here? So then what will happen? This 2 is for lead also, this 2 is for nitrogen also, and this 2 is for this oxygen also. Now what will happen? When you balance, now look at the right hand side. If lead is 2, then we have to use the 2 for lead. If the number of atoms of lead here on the left hand side is 2, then on the right hand side it must also be 2. But this 2 cannot be written here. Okay, this 2 cannot be applied here, because this will change the formula of lead oxide. So this 2 has to be placed here. This is 2. Now lead, here also 2, and here also the number of atoms of lead are 2. Now after that we have to see the number of atoms of nitrogen. You can see here number of atoms of nitrogen will be this 2 and to the 4. Okay, 2 to the 4. The total number of atoms of nitrogen will be 4. Now here there are only 2 nitrogen atoms. So to balance it, what we have to use? We have to remove this coefficient, and we will have to use here the 4. Now you can see the number of nitrogen atoms here are 4, and here this will be 4. On the left hand side also 4, and on the right hand side of the equation the number of nitrogen atoms are 4. Here 2 to the 4, and here also 4. Now it is balanced, lead is balanced, nitrogen is balanced. Now look for oxygen atoms, number of atoms of oxygen. You can see here the number of atoms of oxygen are, first you just calculate this one, 3 to the 6 and 6 to the 12. 3 to the 6 and 6 to the 12. there are 12 oxygen atoms on the left hand side. 12 oxygen atoms, and we have to make this the same number on the right hand side. So then we will look for the number of oxygen atoms on the right hand side. How many are there? 2. 4 2 ja 8. 4 2 ja 8. 8 plus 2 10. 10 plus 2 12. Now it is balanced. So all the elements are balanced now. You can see the total number of atoms of each element on the left hand side is equal to total number of atoms of same elements on each element on the right hand side. Now this equation is balanced. So this is how you have to balance each and every chemical equation. So I hope you have understood this. So till then, so today in the next video we will discuss some more examples and we will discuss the next topics. So till then, thank you very much.